Well, speaking of drama queens, let's talk about the Cowboys. I have a good question for you guys.
Gosh, we got to talk about
shots.
the Cowboys.
Yes,
Taking
yes,
shots.
yes. This is a Houston podcast, so yes.
Down.
But let's talk about
No, we
Zeke
can
for
talk
a
about the
second.
Cowboys, yeah.
And let's talk about Zeke for a second.
Okay.
Are we expecting to see the old Zeke or Zeke getting old? Now, I know that he just got into the league really in 2016 before a running back. He's getting up in age.
Yeah.
Do we expect Zeke to return to old form, or is Zeke old?
Zeke really isn't that old. Okay, if you want to say he's had some mileage, you can say he's had some mileage.
But you can't say he definitely has some mileage.
But he's built for it.
Yeah,
He's built for it.
He is.
So let me start off with the negatives. The negatives is Tony Pollard. I think that's the elephant in the room. Tony Pollard showed that he is a legit NFL back. I'm not in agreement that I think, most people are like, oh, Tony Pollard's better than Zeke. There's so much that goes into being an NFL running back and to be able to handle a large workload week in and week out.
Yeah.
Come talk to me about Tony Pollard being a better back than Zeke 6-7 weeks after having 15 plus touches. Exactly. So there's something to that. Okay. But even with Tony Pollard looking as good as he has looked, I am 100% buying the dip on Zeke. Absolutely. Yeah. So it's a situation where I may have him ranked like top 4, top 5 running back, but I try to get him
back in that
8th, 9th, 10th. I've gotten him as late as the 110 pick. And so he's definitely somebody I'm buying. I'm really buying that Dallas offense, the return of that Dallas O-line. The O-line is still very thin as far as depth-wise. So, they suffer a number, more than one injury on that O-line. We may be looking at a similar situation. But the return of Dak, CD in the second year, return of Amari Cooper, Gallup. We have Schultz and Jarwin there.
Weapons galore everywhere.
Weapons galore.
Yeah.
Defenses can't load the box.
Right.
They can't load the box. So this man is going to be operating and running in a highly efficient offense. He could score literally 15-plus touchdowns. He's going to catch the ball quite often. And we know he produces on the ground. So we could be looking at a situation of 1,800-plus yards. Unless he suffers an injury, he's obviously going to have double-digit touchdowns. But I'm looking in a range of 15-plus. Buy the dip. It's not a hard decision. It's not a hard decision.
So, So the question was, are we going to get the old Zeke or is Zeke old?
Doesn't matter.
I do think Zeke is getting up there in age for running backs. He is on his second contract, which is kind of the time period where you start to see a decline to some extent. But I was looking at Zeke's old stats. Zeke has hit 1,000 yards every single year of his career except for his second year. And that year he had 900-something yards, close to 1,000. That was the season where he was suspended for whatever was going on with Goodell. You remember that season where he had to miss the beginning of the season? So he almost, if he didn't have that suspension, he probably would have hit 1,000 that year too. Mm-hmm. So the funny thing is that year, and I believe it was 2017, and last year looked eerily similar. The running attempts were around 240, something like that. Every other season he had 300 plus, like right above 300. The yardage that season was, again, 900 something. Last year he had 900 something, like very close to 1,000. The biggest difference was last year he played 5 more games than 2017.
But that's huge, though, to play 5 more games and still not hit 1,000 yards.
It definitely is huge, but the biggest catalyst we have to take into account is not having Dak there.
Absolutely.
Literally all the pressure was on Zeke. And, all these guys are human. You lose Dak going into a season. O-line. Yeah, going into O-line. You lose Dak, you lose your O-line, going into the season with all these high expectations, and then you start to realize, maybe you're not going to meet it. Maybe it gets to a point where maybe I shouldn't be going as hard as I probably would have gone. He was still getting the work. He was still putting in effort, but people saw Zeke last year. Zeke was not the Zeke we were used to seeing.
We didn't see the feed.
We didn't see Eden Zeke. We didn't see that excitement from him. But again, he still had 900-something yards. He still had, I believe, like 6 or 7 touchdowns, which is kind of similar to what he's done all his career. I think maybe 2 other seasons he had double-digit touchdowns, but he's never had less than 6 touchdowns in a season. Now, you did mention Pollard, who was my boy from the day he was drafted. I love Pollard.
Yeah.
Pollard has a unique skill set. like you were saying, we probably can't envision Pollard being a true every down back in the sense that we see Zeke. But I think the NFL is slightly changing where there's different type of running backs.
Yeah.
You know, you have your grinder, Derrick Henry type running back who we can possibly place Zeke kind of in. And then you have your finesse running back like your Miles Sanders, CEH type, which kind of Pollard falls into. So it's one of those things of what kind of offense do the Cowboys want to run?
Yeah.
I still think they want to run the ground and pound.
Yeah.
Zeke is our guy. And I mentioned this last week. When the Cowboys are winning a game, they're going to give it to their horse in the backfield.
Yeah.
And Zeke is going to keep pounding. And Zeke is the type of running back we've seen where as the game progresses, he gets better.
Yeah.
The yardage coming in like bundles, you know?
Yeah.
And those touchdowns will go up. So personally, I don't feel like Zeke is old at all. I feel like I don't even think there's an old Zeke. I still think we have the same Zeke.
He's 26 years old.
26, yeah.
Okay, so he's not, I mean, he's 26.
Right.
Okay, but a couple different things. You brought up the human element. I think that is so important, whether it's consciously or subconsciously. If you're on a losing team, you've lost your O-line, you lost your boy Dak, your starting
You're not
quarterback.
making the playoffs.
You're looking at Dalton. You're not making the playoffs. Your defense is historically bad. You can try to play as hard as you want to play,
right?
But are you really going to?
So he melded in, is what you're saying?
No, I'm not saying he melded in. I'm just saying there's just a different. You know, it's like when you get ready to go on a long distance run. You know, if I'm feeling good, I got my endorphins running. This is an easy 3-mile run. Right. I shouldn't say easy. This is a less than difficult 3-mile run.
Right.
But if it's been a long work day. Work was just dragged on longer than it should. You got bad news in whatever aspect of life. You stressed to some extent. You maybe didn't get a good night's sleep. You ate a steak the night before. You're not gonna have that same type of energy running that mile. You may still want to run that mile in 15 minutes or however, I don't know how people run 3 miles, but you may want to still run at the same rate, but you're likely not going to be able to. There's a human element to that, so I 100% agree with that. The other thing too is their defense was so bad last year.
Yeah.
How do teams counteract a bad defense, or how do they deal with having a bad defense?
You mean on the offense?
From the offense,
pass the ball.
Yeah, but from a standpoint, if you understand that your defense is bad,
game management, clock management,
and you do that by running the ball. So if you know your defense was struggling last year, you're not going to go into the following year and saying, okay, let's throw the ball around the yard. And again, we love the Dallas offense, high-paced offense. I'm not saying that their pass offenses.
Begrudgingly, we love the Dallas offense.
Yeah.
We still Texans fans in this piece.
We like the Dallas offense.
Yeah.
Okay, not the Dallas Cowboys.
Well, I don't know. I just didn't see that pop in Zeke that I've seen in years prior.
But real quick.
But he got his boy Dak back. He got the offensive line back.
We haven't mentioned this once. He was hurt last year as well. Yeah. He actually missed a game. I think that's the first game he missed in his career due to injury.
I mean, we saw him fumbling. You saw a different type of Zeke, and I don't think it had anything to do with age.
It seems like everything you guys are saying sounds like a running back that is on the decline.
Well,
no. Remember, situation matters. O-line matters. Quarterback matters. Offense matters. If your O-line is decimated, you lose your starting quarterback, and your offense takes a significant hit, you're not going to produce as well.
Yeah.
How about this? Dio, you like to talk about contracts. Do you think the Cowboys feel good about the contract that Zeke has right now?
Not at all.
Don't pay running backs.
Not only do I think they don't feel good about it, I think Zeke might be short-lived with the Cowboys. And I'm totally speculating here. Don't take this as gospel. But we might have 2 or 3 years left of Zeke in Dallas with that contract.
So buy the dip now. Get your Zeke now, and then we can maybe be out on him next year. But get him now.
Yeah, I mean, they just have too many. That Amari contract, the Dak contract, they just paid Dak. Something has to give. You know, so
he's what you want in a first-round pick. He is a safe floor with upside.
Yeah. I mean, well, again, that's where rookies come into play. You want players on that rookie contract, especially in those top skill position players.
And don't forget, they still got Pollard. I mean, even though we say he ain't truly an every down back, it's easier for them to say Zeke.
And maybe, I think when I say he's not an every down back, there are not a lot of every down backs, traditional 3-down backs that can be workhorses in the league. And it has nothing to do with his size. I think the type of back that he is, he relies a lot on explosion. And I think if you're giving someone like that 20 touches a game, particularly like 15-plus carries a game, at some point you're going to lose that explosion. This is the NFL.
Right.
People get hit, and they get hit hard.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
last year we saw him run quite freely, explode through those holes. But you do that enough over,
gonna wear down on him
especially
eventually.
over a 17 game, season now.
Yeah.
We'll see.
I agree.
I said, God, give me a warning. Please take me for the morning so I